Good morning, North Carolina Vinyl Picker here on a Sunday. Yeah, it's been a week since I did my last show, and last week we were talking about Yes. We're talking about my 10 favorite British bands. Well, Yes formed in 68 in London. This is the sticker that I lost. I couldn't find it. They formed in 68, John, Chris, Peter, Banks, Tony, and Bill Bruford. And Yes has had over 20 members in their band. And I'm going to talk more about Yes at the end of this show. If you stay to the end, I'm going to tell you about my 10 favorite shows of all time that I went to. But we're going to talk about Yes a little bit later. So let's go ahead and get into this Charlotte record show. I went to the record show and I put a little thing up on Instagram and Facebook, and also on my YouTube short, and showed you the room. But they were playing some music in there when I got there, so I cut it short. I didn't want to get a strike. So what I got at the show was, I'll show you real quick. I found this David Lee Roth 45 that I'll be putting in my store. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Van Halen, but I figure I picked this up for somebody, and I'm going to put this in the store. So that'll be a nice thing for somebody. Seen this there, Crying in the Night, Buckingham Nicks. This, of course, is from their self-titled album, but before they joined Fleetwood Mac. And this 45 is pretty rare. It's the reissue. It's not the original. And it's on a really cool looking color vinyl. Let me show you. It's a purple vinyl. So that's pretty cool. $10, that was pretty good price. I've seen this thing go for a lot more on eBay. I've seen this Pink Floyd. Then I went to, while I was there, and there was a guy that had, like, I don't know, 200 or 300 45s. I saw this one there. He had all these for $1. Pink Floyd, The Wall. This is music from the film When the Tigers Broke Free. And actually, that was from Roger Waters put that on the final cut. But I think that song was supposed to have been on the wall. Andreas Vollenheimer. I love Andreas. I haven't listened to this album in quite a while. Night Fire Dance. And this is from the album Down to the Moon. But I was really stoked to see this. I've been listening to that album for a long time. Then I saw this one there, and this was a no-brainer. Steve Hillage from Gong. This is from his album Swim with the Wind. This also has Steve Hillage. Oh, this is from Motivation Radio, sorry. On the B side is a Glenn Phillips. I don't know who he is, but we all know who Steve Hillage is. So there you go. That was pretty cool to find this there for $1. That was a no-brainer. Picked that one up. And then I picked this one up here, William Orbit. And this is G155. William Orbit, I think, is a person that does electronic music. The cover looked cool, and for $1 I picked it up. And then I seen Bay of Kings, Steve Hackett. This is a great album, all instrumental. He does a lot of St. Elmo's Fire, Bay of Kings. He does Horizons on here, of course, from Genesis. He does it's a whole bunch of instrumental songs. Yeah. So Bay of Kings. Got that. I got this Sting EP, extended EP at the show of Russians. I got this one here for a really good price. Tangerine Dream Stratosphere. I think this was $10. I just took so much money with me to the show, and then that was it. I didn't spend any more than that. It was just a certain amount I take every time I go to the record show, and the record show is in Charlotte. It's a little bit of a haul for me, about an hour and 15 minutes to get there, but it's well worth it. I only go 4 times a year. Kate Bush on Stage. Got the Japanese obi. I used to have this back in the day. That's a really nice, but yeah. And Patrick Moraz, I saw this here for $1. Future Memories live on TV keyboards. Found this one there for Patrick Moraz. Then I seen these 2 records there. These were $5 each. The I think this is one of the first Journey albums. It's supposed to have been Fusion. I listened to it. It's not. So this will be going in my store if anybody's interested. And the name of this album is, I don't know, Look Into the Future. So there you go. That's going in the store. And then this Curved Air album, live, with Francis Monkman and Daryl Way. And then it has a singer on here, and her name is Sonia Christina. I wasn't real crazy about the vocals on that, so I like my jazz fusion with limited or no vocals. So this will be going in the store. I love Curved Air, but that one there I didn't care for. So there you go. So those were the things I picked up at the record show in Charlotte. And then I did some other pickup stuff. I got a few things. I got this in the mail from eBay, and this is, of course, is photos of Ghost. This is PFM. It's a promo. This is not a white label, but it does say what radio station it was. And I already had a copy of this, and the other copy's going in the store, so that'll be in there if anybody wants a copy of that. Great album by PFM. It's photos of Ghosts. And then I went to an antique mall up in Taylorsville. Me and the wife drove up there, had a nice lunch, and found a few records up there. I found this one there, Flora Purim, Stories to Tell. I just saw the one of the guys on the Jazz Bum showing this record. I didn't care for it. Again, I didn't like the vocals. So this is going in the store. That one's going in the store. I found a copy of Jean-Luc Ponty, Open Mind, radio station promo. That one there is going in my collection. And then my other copy of Open Mind is going in my store. Again, with my store, it's on Discogs. It's Big Chief Vinyl 57. Go check me out. I have a lot of people that have bought stuff from me. I go in and I check what the lowest price is, and that's what I price my record at, the lowest of anybody in there, as far as grading and quality. I have 100% on my selling and my buying, so there's no problems there. If there is, let me know. We'll work it out. Herbie Mann, Push Push. Found this one there. I listened to this. I liked it. Someone in the Jazz Bums told me, don't sleep on Herbie. So there you go. Steve Kahn, Arrows. I listened to this. I really like this. He was with a band called Steps Ahead, and I really like them. And so I thought I would like this, and I did. And I got to find the rest of his records from the 70s during that fusion period. Steve Kuhn and Ecstasy. Now this is a New Age album. It's really, really mellow. I'll put it with my other New Age albums over there. Probably won't listen to it much, but it was a white label promo. And I don't think I'll be looking for any more of Steve Kuhn. I thought this was the same guy as Steve Kahn, but come to find out, it was two different people. Larry Coryell, Fairyland. I really like this one a lot. I played it twice, and I guess it was released on Record Store Day. It was re-released as a different cover and everything. But this is an OG. I guess this is an original gangster. And so there you go. So I was lucky to find those. Let me put those up. I got a lot of stuff to show today. Seems like I got that lot of show. I got a lot to show every week, don't I? So we'll get all this stuff put up, and then we'll go ahead and get into the next bunch of stuff I got here. I got a few more things to show you, and then we're going to get into my top 10 concerts of all time. That's why everybody's here, right? If you like the channel, like and subscribe. Hit the bell. That way you know whatever time the North Carolina Vinyl Picker is on. And I'm heading towards 800, going towards 800. I've been listening and watching the Concert Buddy. You ought to check him out. He's got a really good show. I've really been enjoying that. And Old Goat's final. Old Goat, I haven't seen him this last week, so I don't know what's going on with him. I hope he's well. Maybe Dan can tell me how Don's doing. And yeah, find out. I went to a little thrift store. Me and the wife went to a thrift store. We like to go thrifting. She looks for stuff other than what I look for, but we enjoy going there and doing that thrifting thing. And I found some really cool stuff. I found this one, Live Sections, selections from On the Island, David Gilmour. These were all $1. I dug through about, I don't know, 400 or 500 CDs real quick. I found that. I found Peter Gabriel's Steam. These are promos. Both of these were promos. I found Lionel Hampton, Mostly the Blues. I thought maybe this was going to be worth something. It's not. It's in the store. If anybody's into Lionel Hampton. Sting, Fragile CD. This will be going in with the rest of my Sting. And this one here is part of a box. It's called A Box of Dreams. Enya, of course, she's the sister of Maura Brennan, who was in Clannad. This is one of the CDs. I think there was a 3 CD set with the booklet. Now I have just the one CD. I don't have the booklet. I mean, I have the booklet. I don't have the box, and I don't have the other 2 CDs. But I'll be keeping that with my stuff from Enya. I found this Missing Persons EP. This one's already in the store if anybody's interested in this. I'm not really into Missing Persons. Of course, that was the 80s. And I don't poo-poo on all the 80s stuff, but not really a huge fan of Missing Persons, even though Terry Bozzio was there with his wife. And I like Terry Bozzio drumming. How about Ken Berry? In the Shrink, RFD from Mayberry. I don't know. I thought maybe this one would be something somebody would want. So I picked it up, and it's in the store. Chuck Mangione, Children of Sanchez. I had another copy of this before, but it was kind of beat up. This one's in the Shrink. It's in mint condition. I'm going to put it in the store if anybody's into Chuck Mangione. It's not really the kind of jazz I listen to. It's a double album. Oscar Peterson found this one. And this one here is worth a little money. Soul Espanol. And I put this one in the store. And if anybody's looking for Oscar, he's in the store. And Don Ellis, Shock Treatment. This was also at the thrift store. And any kind of old jazz like this, 70s, 60s jazz, I'm going to pick them up. And I'm going to slap them in my store in case anybody's looking for them. If they're in good shape. If they're not, I'm leaving them at the thrift store, even if it's $1 or $1.50, whatever. But this one's in the store if anybody's looking for Don Ellis. And he's in the store. I picked up a really nice clean copy of American Pie by Don McLean. The cover, of course, is a little bit beat up. That's normal for this record, but the album is really nice. And then I found this one there, Switched on Bach. I already put it in the Shrink. You know, he's going over here. I got about 16 copies of it, but it wasn't the one where he's sitting down. Yeah, I only have one copy of that. That's the rare one to find. That was the original Gangster. The original OG was the one where he's sitting down. He looked all grumpy. They made him reshoot the picture. So he stood up, and then he put a smile on his face, and then that's history. Yeah, Walter Carlos. So there you go. That was the stuff from the thrift store. So now let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about my 10 favorite bands of all time, or concerts of all time. My 10 favorite concerts. I did favorite bands last week. I'm trying to figure out. I talked to you, I don't know, a few months back. We talked about. I showed you all my concert tickets. I was going through them. I don't know. It was like 10 a week or 5 shows a week, and we went over like months and months. But these were the shows so far that I've figured out that I don't have stubs for that I've seen. I seen Allan Holdsworth. Now, I saw Allan Holdsworth a long time ago. And I found this concert picture. It was pretty cool. And this is from that show that I saw. And this was, it was $6. And it was a long time ago. It was at Woodbine Street off Capitol Ave in Hartford, Connecticut. And it says here, guitarists from Soft Machine, UK, Bill Bruford Band, Tempest, and Gong. It was a great show. I remember being there. It was a really small little place. But I don't have the stub for that, man. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. I seen John McLaughlin in, it was either New Haven or Hartford. He was all by himself. It was during the Belo Horizonte tour. It was just him and a guitar on stage. That was it. It was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I've seen with my best friend John up in we went to Central Park and saw UK, but I'm not sure if we actually got into the show. I remember seeing the stage, but I don't remember the whole story behind that. So, John, if you remember, it's kind of a lapse of memory there. I saw Peter Frampton in San Diego. I think Jay Giles opened up for him, but I was trying to check it out today on the set list on the internet, and I found what the set list was for that show. So I'll share that with you here in a little bit. And then I seen Jethro Tull, Rory Gallagher, and Golden Earring, I believe, at Shea Stadium. Now this would have been like when I was in high school. I went over with my girlfriend, and we went over to Shea Stadium, and we saw that show. I think I was like, had to been before I went in the Navy. So it had been like 75. And I think it was Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. I think it was that tour. And, excuse me. So there you go. And then, so here we go. We're going to talk about those 10 favorite shows that I've seen, concerts. And we're going to discuss them. And I was going to show you the set list, but the set lists are actually on my phone, so I can't go down through the set list. But Alan Parsons, 2006. This is number 10. Now, this was the first time that I took my daughter to a show, and she was about 8 or 9 during this time that I took her. And we saw Alan Parsons live, the House of Blues. That was a great show. And it was the first time I went with my daughter. It was special, and that's why it's on the list. And then we also seen Dream Theater together. She saw Steve Hackett with me. She saw Yes with me. She's seen about 5 or 6 shows with me. And it's really special time doing stuff with your daughter. So, and then coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 9 is the original Bad Company. Yeah, me and the wife went there. This one here, it was in 1999, and the ticket was $50 to see Bad Company with Paul Rogers, the original. That was before Boz died. It was all them people, and then Edgar Winter and Rick Derringer opened up the show, and they did all their hits. You know, they did Free Ride, and they did Frankenstein. They did like 2 or 3 songs. And they left the stage, and then Bad Company, I came on, they rocked the house. And I remember having the first 2 Bad Company albums on 8-track a long time ago. And yeah, so the wife really wanted to go to this show, and I took her to several shows. I took her to see Skynyrd. She went with me to see the Moody Blues, though she wasn't overly impressed, but likes them now somewhat. So there you go. And we saw lots of shows together. I think we saw Skynyrd 2 or 3 times. She has a different, she likes more of the top 40 rock bands, you know, from the 80s. And so that's her thing. So coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 8 is Marillion. Now I saw this one at Toad's Place. This was the 8th best show I ever saw. And it was during the time when their first album came out, Script for a Jester's Tear. And they did all kinds. They did Assassin. They did a couple songs from their second album, Fugazi. I've looked them all up and I checked them all out as far as what songs they did. Maybe I'll put those set lists on. I get them on YouTube somehow, or put them on my Instagram and show you what those set lists were. They're pretty cool. Coming in at number 7, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This was a fantastic show. Saw this one on August the 10th, 1977, in San Diego at the stadium. And I remember them doing Pirates and the cannons blowing off on stage. But it's the only time I ever got to see ELP, and I'm so glad I did. And there's the stub there to prove it. Coming in at number 6 was the Show of Shows. It was the 35th anniversary of Yes. And I saw them with Peter, my nephew, and we went over to Tampa. And I can't believe it's almost 20 years ago, 2004 at 8 p.m. And the ticket cost $10.30. Now tickets they're out of this world on prices. But it was the 35th anniversary show. It's the last time we got to see John Anderson with Yes. And so then I saw him later on with ARW. And I seen Yes without John Anderson, with John Davidson. But Then I seen Yes the first time with the Tormato tour in the round, and that would have been in the Hampton Coliseum. But this show was really special, and I got to see it with Peter. And it was at the Ice Palace in Tampa. In the hockey, I think I've told this before. The hockey team was playing, and they had the mats on the floor. The ice was still on underneath those mats, so it was freezing in there. And John Anderson had a sweater on. It was so cold. Coming in at number 5 was a show that I saw by myself. I went by myself, and this was in 2018, 5 years ago already. Time is just flying by. The Plaza Live in Orlando. When I lived down in Florida, I saw a whole lot more shows than I see now, because there's nobody coming close to Charlotte that I want to see. But yeah, the Plaza Live in Orlando, February 9th, 2018, and they did the Fear tour, which is F everybody and run. That's what it means. It's with Steve Hogarth. And when I talk about these 10 shows, it's a show that when you go to it and you get so excited because the music is so good, and just it moves you, you know. And I went through all these tickets this morning. I went through over 100 stubs and I had to pick 10 shows out of that. Incredible. Coming in at number, where we at? Coming in at number 4. Now we're getting down to the heavy hitters here. The first time I ever got to see Peter Gabriel was in 1977. This was his first tour, and he came out at the end of the show for an encore and did Back in New York City in his leather jacket from the Lamb days. It was an incredible show. It was in Passaic. I was with my friend John, and it was 1977. It was a long time ago, and the ticket was $7. And we saw that show, and we also saw I saw the Straubs there. I also saw Kansas and Marshall Tucker there by myself. All right, I don't think John wasn't with me for that show. I was with somebody else. I can't remember who at the time. But television opened for Gabriel. We didn't go in. I remember everybody standing at the door and saying, "Nah, that's not for us." And I guess those guys are a punk band. So I've told this story before. So I'm not sure what we did for that hour waiting for but we didn't even go into the Capitol Theater until Peter Gabriel just about hit the stage. And he did Morgenbein the Burgermeister, and he did almost the whole complete song, the first album, and he also did a Kinks song. He had a couple fillers in there because he only had the one album out by himself, and then for the encore he did Back in New York City with his rail jacket on, and everybody the whole place went crazy. But a lot of the people that were there probably saw Genesis with Gabriel, like on the Lamb tour. Of course, I didn't, because I was a late bloomer going to Genesis. So there you go. First time I saw Genesis was right here. Number 3, coming in, the Spectrum, and also Madison Square Garden, 1977. I saw Genesis on the Wind and Weathering tour, which is actually the second album. And so there you go. Just an awesome, awesome show. Coming in number 2, Porcupine Tree, 2007. I saw them in Orlando and at the House of Blues. It was a really great show. And then when they did Anesthesize, whatever, how you say that. It was the Fear of a Blank Planet tour, and I got to see them. It was just incredible. And it was a show that, like I say, it moved me so much. And it was a guy standing next to me, and at the time I had just gotten into a band called Riverside, and I told him about it. He didn't know anything about him. But I was standing maybe like 6 to 10 feet away from Steven Wilson. I was right up by the front of the stage. I got there early. I was working down in Orlando and went right over to the show from work, and I saw that. But there can only be one, and that number 1 would be the Pulse tour that I saw with my nephew. And what a show that was. 1994, 30 years ago, just about, that we saw Pink Floyd at the Tampa Stadium. They did the whole Division Bell album, just about. They did a bunch of other songs, and then they ended the show by doing the complete Dark Side of the Moon. It was just unbelievable. So I bought some records out to show you. Number 8 was Script for a Jester's Tear. Number 7 was Emerson, Lake and Palmer's The Works Tour. What a great show that was. That was a long time ago. Peter Gabriel. This was number 4. Back when he did back in New York City, like I was saying. This was his first album. And then we had Seconds Out. Number 3. That was the Genesis from Seconds Out. Fear of a Blank Planet. That was number 2. I pulled these records out. This was number 1. Pulse. Here's the complete show on vinyl that I picked up at Lunchbox Records down in Charlotte. Here's the Ultimate Yes. This is from the this is the show we saw over in Tampa. And this was the Fear. This is the Marillion album that I saw them in Orlando. And then also when I was doing this research, I thought that we went to the show at the Spectrum and the show at the Garden was like consecutive nights, but it wasn't. We saw the Genesis at February 23rd, 1977 at the Garden. And then it was not until March the 8th that we saw the Spectrum show. So there was a couple weeks there between those two shows. And in my mind, I was thinking it was like we went one night and then we went the next night. I've said that before on my show, but it was not when I researched it, that wasn't the case. So there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that top 10. Those were some great concerts, and I really enjoyed them all. I had a lot of great people that I went and seen the shows with, and I'm just lucky, at my age to still remember all these shows and remember who I went with. That there is a blessing in itself. So if you like the show, stay tuned. There'll be more. I'll be back next week with some more finds. I'm going to try to find some more stuff this week, and everybody be good out there and support them troops. We're in for some rough times ahead, I think. So you take care. I'll be talking to you soon. North Carolina Vinyl Picker out.